try to avoid the millennial pause in my editing. Maybe I'll leave it in. I don't know. Welcome back, everybody. In my second ever YouTube video on this channel, I apparently struck a chord, struck a nerve. I don't know what you want to call it. And I know 4,000 views is not big by YouTube standards, but it's huge for me. And the pace of the growth of the video, the last video I did, it's been accelerating. I didn't think it would get this kind of exposure, like even 1,000 people. I was blown away. It's like, you know. So anyways, everybody, thank you. Thank you for watching, you know, thank you for subscribing, all of that good stuff. I had a different idea in mind for what I was going to show in part 2 of the series. I put the camera, this camera, I put it in my car and I drove around my neighborhood and I took some footage. I just wanted to show people, like, you know, the idea was China's not a hellhole to live in. Anyways, that was my idea. That was my original idea. And I'm recording this now, like more than a week after my last video came out, because I realized I probably should show something else or talk about something else. Behind me on the screen here, I won't do that super slow, stupid turn again. I've got up all the comments from this video, and again, I'm floored by the amount of response I got from this thing. 99% of it has been awesome and supportive. You guys, all you guys commenting, it's awesome. There's been a little bit of criticism, and that's completely fair. You know, I'm open to debate. I'm open to different views of, you know, differing opinions. And I thought I can still do all that stuff later. I have time to do that, but I want to address one particular comment. It wasn't a bad comment. The person disagreed with me. I think it was probably the strongest disagreement to me, because there was some logic behind it, and the person was mostly polite. And so I wanted to address this one comment. So this was somebody commenting on the previous video. I assume it's a he. He said, "You sure sound like a Wu-Mao. Quote, in a country this big, there will be some bad maintenance. What a lame, vacuous excuse. How about real figures? Like China's workplace deaths of 68,061 in 2014 versus 142 in the UK. Yes, China is 20 times as large, but has 480 times as many workplace deaths. Many countries mandate regular maintenance of lifts. China doesn't, or it is widely reported bribes are paid. At the anecdotal level too, everything Matt and Winston says rings true. They'd experienced elevators falling a floor or similar. I've never experienced any such thing anywhere in the world. They are either incredibly unlucky or China is vastly less safe than other countries. The latter seems like a fair conclusion." Okay. Saying I sound like a Wu-Mao, calling my excuse, lay me back, whatever. Overall, it was an okay comment. And there's logic behind it, okay? I don't know if the numbers he's quoting are real. For the sake of argument, let's just pretend that they are. Or let's assume, sorry, not pretend. Let's assume that those numbers are real. Fine. 68,061 deaths in 2014 versus 142 in the UK. He then factors in the difference in population. China has 20 times the population of the UK. 480 times as many workplace deaths. Wait, whatever. It's still, you get his point. You know, he's saying that China is 20 times more dangerous, 20-ish times more dangerous than the UK or other places in the world. Okay, fine. So here was my reply. I'll read it to you. My camera's kind of blocking it, so let me shift a bit. I wrote, "Happy to reply to this in good faith with you. I was talking about elevator incidents and not workplace deaths, but since you brought it up, let's think about it as close as we can to an apples-to-apples situation. Obviously, the UK has been post-industrial for a long time. China is in the early stages of being post-industrial. Back in 2014, a big percentage of China's jobs were factory jobs, whereas in 2014, I would assume, because I don't have the data, that a much lower percentage of jobs in the UK were factory jobs or factory kind of jobs. Of course, there will be a lower percentage of workplace injuries when a smaller percentage of jobs are risky like that. Also, there was the other half of my point involving the logic with airplanes. I admit that, yes, there may be a higher percentage of problems in China, but it's still phenomenally low. What that channel was doing, and here I'm talking about the Serpent CA and Lawai86, their channel, they're China fact chasers. What that channel was doing was downright fear-mongering. You have a 99.9999 whatever percent chance of being just fine taking an elevator in China. It's fear-mongering to suggest otherwise, just like it's fear-mongering to suggest that airplanes are a death trap. Okay, so that was my reply. I'd like to expand on that a little bit more. So, first of all, whenever people are disagreeing with you in comments, especially on a topic as contentious as this one, let's be respectful. You know, doesn't matter which side you're on. If you're respectful, even if the other person isn't respectful, if you're respectful, you're not. You know, obviously you're gonna sway other people, more people, to your side, because you know, when you're not respectful, people don't tend to trust you or listen to you. So keep it respectful, and also, you know, let's just be good people to each other, or we'll try. So I'm trying to be respectful to this person, because they're logically, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. Okay, but what did I say? I said that China has a bunch of factory jobs. Factory jobs inherently are more dangerous than non-factory jobs. The UK was the world's factory in the 1800s, you know, so they've had 150 years of practice, 150 years of not only moving past the industrial phase, where most of their economy, most of their employed people are not factory workers. They've already moved past that, but you know, even for the people that are factory workers, they have 150 years plus years of experience of like, oh, factory accidents happen. We need rules put in place to make them safer. China is, I'm not just making an excuse for China. Like, logically think about this. China is much earlier in that phase, or they've gone through it in a much faster period of time. And so, of course, even if we just look at the percentage of factory deaths in the UK versus factory deaths, like just factory deaths in China, yeah, China's are probably going to be higher. But how long has China been in manufacturing? For a few decades. What if we were to go back in time and look at the UK's, you know, injury rates in manufacturing and factory jobs when the UK was only a few decades in? Does anybody have data for that? I don't. I also don't, you know, I don't want to go digging it up, but if somebody out there can find it, great. I would assume, and you know, we've all heard stories of, you know, poverty in England, and in those days it wasn't great. Factory kinds of jobs and factory worker exploitation in that time, it wasn't great. I'm sure workplace injuries were horrible back then too. Okay? In fact, if you were to look, you know, and take the UK 30 years into its industrialization and having tons of workers in factories in London and whatnot, and then you take a look at China 30 years into its industrialization, you might find that China is ending up safer than the UK. So if you want to do apples to apples comparison, okay, do apples to apples comparison, but truly apples to apples comparison. I think this person was trying to think logically. I think this person was trying to, you know, this person had a point of view, and this person was mentally, maybe even subconsciously unaware of it, cherry picking data to make it, or using data to, and framing it in a way that promoted his argument. But if you really think about it, you know, if you really make an apples to apples comparison, it's probably not as bad as this guy's saying. Given the amount of time that China's been going through this. I can tell you, China's getting better and better at safety. You know, I don't know about factory safety. I don't know about that. Road safety? Sure. Oh my gosh. I could talk to you a lot about road safety. I first came to China on vacation in 2009, I was scared out of my wits for the traffic here. But guess what? They've cleaned it up. They've added rules, traffic rules, more enforcement. The driving in China today, at least in Shanghai, again, I don't know the rest of China. I will always make that disclaimer. It's so much better than even when I first moved here in 2015. It is so much better. And just like you imagine when cars were new in the UK and cars were new in America, I'm sure it wasn't all, peaches and cream back in America and the UK. I think you guys get my point, right? And I'm sure the person who commented this, they're gonna say, you sound like Wu Mao, you're making lame and vacuous excuses for China. Okay, but I think my excuses are logical, right? Also, I'm really not a Wu Mao. If you know anyone in the the government here that wants to pay me money, okay, cool. But no, I'm not getting a dime. Yeah, I get enough money from my job here. I'm good. Anyways, I just felt like this was I had to make this video. I'll still come out with the other ones later, and I apologize for the slow speed in coming out with them. I work 7 days a week in my job. I work a lot. And also, I'm a dad. I want to be a good dad. I have not dedicated a lot of time to putting together the next one. But I will, especially now that I see, 4,000 views. Again, I know that's tiny by YouTube standards, but for me, that's big. So I'm gonna take this very seriously, including learning a little bit more editing. I'm still using the default one that comes with Windows, Microsoft Clipchamp. It's okay. No, oh, and the Insta360. By the way, this camera is an Insta360 X3 camera. It's relatively new, but I'm learning its editing software too, because it has a lens on the front here and a lens on the back here, and it's always doing a 360-degree view. And so I have to go through two editing phases. I have to go through the Insta360 editing, and then the Clipchamp, like the regular video editing. I'm learning it. You're gonna see some funny stuff. At the end of this video, I will leave in the snafus that I'm still trying to figure out. After I'm done talking, you're gonna see me driving through another part of the city, and for some reason the Insta360 software keeps spinning the view around, looking back at me instead of at the road. So yeah, I'll just leave that in. I think it's kind of funny. Okay, anyways guys, thanks for letting me be verbose to you again. But I wanted to address what I felt was the strongest criticism that I've had so far. Thankfully, I haven't had anybody very rude to me yet. We'll see. I hope it stays that way. To all people who disagree with me, I want to be a good human being, and I'm shaking my leg again. I want to be a good human being and love you guys too, and let's try and keep it respectful, and we can disagree, and that's cool. Yeah. All right. Peace out. I'm gonna try that transition that I see some other YouTubers doing. All right. Bye guys. Peace out.